has everybody been? I know it has been umpteen million years since I've been live. But yeah, we're gonna get back at it. We're gonna be doing a few different things. Today is it's all about world design. I have put together a few things already for the game that I'm designing. Excuse me. One thing I didn't do is I didn't get any music to throw in the background. We gotta get something that is not gonna get me in trouble. So let's take a little gander here really quick and see what we got. Let's take a look at his albums here really fast. Oh, do 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 do. You know what? Let's throw up the synthwave. It'll fit with the stuff here. Uh-oh. Forgot I reset my audio. There we go. All right. So what do you say we get into this, and I'll kind of show you where we're at so far. Let me go ahead and pull this stuff out of the way. And I'll pull this over here so you can take a gander. Maybe? All right, there we go. So let's go ahead and get this all pulled up here so you can see what we're working with. Okay, well that is a straight broken transition. All right, so all we've built into the game so far is just a little red player cube. We're using a few different things. I am using Gaia. To be more specific, I'm using Gaia for Unity 2021. I've imported a few different packages, different assets and stuff. Machine Gun Studio packages. I've got Procedural Worlds, which is part of Gaia, and a few other things. But yeah, let's go ahead. We're going to kick this up to full screen, maximize this bad boy, and hit play. So the one thing that I do have built in at the present, just a simple character controller, over-the-shoulder, 3D, top, not necessarily top-down, but over-the-shoulder. If you watch the water, I have to fix my players. We're gonna fix that so he stops going screwy. I moved my player to a specific location because it's going to be part of the game itself. And when I moved him, I never reset his transform here. Here we go. And here we go. Maximize this again, hit play. So, like I said, we've got a title system built in. The next thing that I plan on working on coding-wise, and it won't be this fast in game, this is just put for testing. This is set to mimic real-world tides. We're going to make it to where the tides actually affect things that the players can and cannot do in game. And by that, more specifically, I mean, run across here. This is the island that our player will be starting on. And we'll make it to where when the water is up, when the tide is high, You will not be able to cross to get over here. Right now you can, because it's, you know, just rudimentary stuff. So, I have to figure that out. Might put a collider in there. But anyhow, that's where we're at right now. So let's go ahead. We're going to minimize that. Jump back over to my game scene. And we're going to go ahead and get a little screwy here. We're going to kind of, for lack of better words, we're going to gray block this island. And I think one of the things I want to find is where on this island is going to be the best spot for our village. So down here, thinking on that corner right there. So let's go ahead. We're going to jump into Gaia really quickly. Actually, you know what? Let's jump our brush size down. Be able to populate a few different things. So with Gaia, you can literally build your world in just a matter of a few clicks. So this is what Gaia does. You can see that it did generate one little small farmhouse over here, but we're going to wind up getting rid of that. And I actually need to go into the Gaia manager and pull up the stamper. Gaia tools. That's what I was after. Stamper. What? Okay, we got a session manager up. Verify that all layout begin and calls match. Oh. That's what it is. So let's go ahead and I'll tell you what we'll do. I've got the stuff that I need. Let's set up a brand new world. Delete that out. Global volume out. We got our one little player in here. And let's show you how easy this program actually is. But I need to check something really quickly before I do that. Alright, settings. Alright, so clear chat. Good enough. See if it's working for the chat channel here. Oh, it's not registering my Twitch test. It's media. I don't have to play that. Settings. Back off and back on. Okay, let's try this again here, see what's going on. YouTube chat test. Might be a really bad delay on that. That's interesting. All right, well, I guess we're gonna have to keep the chat popped out here so I can view it. Pop out chat. we'll just do the same thing here. No, come on. Pop out chat. There we go. Stop being stupid. All right, that works. Okay, so we've got the Gaia manager that's pulled up here in front of me. So you can walk through this if you want. We're gonna hit clear really fast. I'm gonna set the world to large. Target's gonna be, I'm gonna do a desktop, just a standard desktop. Our target biome, we're gonna do a little bit of a custom here. No, we're not. We're just gonna keep it as is. Let's do Gaia Pro sample. I don't want the farms. I do want the rocks, the trees, and the grass. Okay. Let's go ahead and we will create the terrain. And this thing, it makes things really nice. So here's our stamper. And I'm going to pull the stamper right over here. And I'll show you how this works. Jump to my scene. Top down. All right, here we go. So here is effectively what your world would look like. Now, I'm building an island. So, I kind of want it to resemble an island. So I'm going to change it to islands. There we go. They got a couple different ones you can choose from. Jump through these real quick. Find one that we like. Now see, I like this one. So I'm going to pull it up a little. And over to the edge here. I'm going to rotate a little bit. Actually, we're going to rotate it minus 45 degrees. I'm going to drag it back. Sass me. I'm going to drag it up and pull it back here. What we're doing is trying to line up that point. There we go. Stamp that one. And then right out the gate, you have a playable map. Look at that. Already generated with rocks, trees, grass, textures. We're not done yet, though. All right, let's see here. Don't be sassing me, thing. So we're going to add another island. Again, we're going to pull that stamper back up here to the top. This time, what I want to find is a little island we can tie that tide manager into. Zoom in real quick. No, I don't like that one. So we're going to have the village here. Don't like that one. It's the one we got right now. You know what? Let's change it off of islands and let's go to check out the hills. Oh wait, here we go. This one we can work with. Let's see. No, maybe not. Let's turn the sea levels at 50. Stamp it. All right. Let's go ahead and jump off the stamper real quick. Let's go into our terrain. Let's see, session manager. Actually, let's go ahead and go in here first. Let's create our runtime. Player controller is going to be set to none because we've got our own player controller for now. Deep blue ocean, wind type calm. Yeah, we'll keep it calm. Underwater effects we don't need because we're not going to have any underwater stuff. Location manager, screenshotter, player controller, sky's the day. Post processing is set. We're not going to turn on the quick lighting. Seriously? Some people, man. Anyhow. Sorry, folks. Getting ignorant messages over on Twitch. Curious how this is going to look if we go this way. Hang on a second. So it's doing its thing right now. It's creating it. About to add some runtime components. We're going to go ahead and hit yes. Full dialogue message pops up. We're good to go there. Take a look at our scene again. Oh, there we go. Everything's populating. We can see the water. We can see the trees. All right. We're going to pop open our Pro Sampler. Gaia runtime. What we're looking for is our water. We're going to jump into our manager here. We're going to go to our tide controller script. So we're missing our water object. So let's go ahead and drag this in. Now we're going to do, oops, hello. We're going to have to lower this down some. So let's go put this on a little bit. Brush size, let's kick it up to about a 50. Let's go top down here. We want to smooth the height. We want to raise or lower the terrain. Brush size, detail density. We don't want to drop it that much, so let's turn our opacity down. Too much noise on that one. Detail distance, detail density. Let's kick that down to a 0.1. Nah. So the one thing I didn't do is I did not install the there's a lot of different tools that you can use within Unity. I probably should get those. Okay. That'll work for the moment. Jump in here, switch this over to smooth height. It's nice and smooth around this area here. Kick our opacity up to about a 10. All right, let's hit play and see what we get, see how the tide works. We want to make sure that the tide raises above and goes below that area. That's not what we meant to do. Let's go ahead and turn our player. Actually, let's set our player. Set him right up here on the cliff looking down. His rotation's fixed. Focus in on him. We'll make sure that he is right down on the ground. There we go. Let's hit play and let's see what our tide does. See if it works like it's supposed to. All right, our tide's going out. Check our tide controllers. Tide's still going out, little by little, slowly but surely. All right, tide's coming back up. All right, so y'all can see we definitely have to bring it down some more. Back into the terrain editor. Let's go ahead and raise or lower the terrain. Let's kick it onto this. Down to 10. That might be a little bit too much. Kick it down to about a 5. Okay, got that down some. Let's get these edges down. Okay, we'll smooth this out one more time here. Smooth the height over. Drop this brush size down to about 15. It's pretty small. Doing some real light smoothing and editing here. You don't want to go too much on it. Now the one thing that I have not done, I'm going to jump into my textures here. I've actually not added any textures to this. So if they're here, they're purely from Gaia. All right, we can work with that. So let's jump in here. Let's get some sand painted. We got here. Keep that one as a rock. Yeah, we can work with that. We wanted to simulate dunes as well. You know, when you're underwater, the ground is not completely flat. Smooth that height out really quick. Let's kick that opacity up to about a 25. See if we can work that down some. Let's do raise or lower terrain a little bit. Brush size, let's drop it down to about a 10. How's that work? That works. Let's kick that down to about a 3. That might be... size down to about a 5. I think I can live with that. Let's work this down. Ooh, that's too much. Let's kick this down to about a 1. Alright, I like that. Let's kick this up to about a 15. Work this down a little bit more. Oh yeah, I can live with that. Smooth this out. Ooh, hello. What we got here? Simulating the raising and lowering of the tides already? Just tidal surge. Okay. Let's hit play and take a look at this and see if this is how we want it. Alright, our tide's going out. Player can run across, get to the other side. Alright. Tide comes back up. Does it cover it all up? Here we go. Alright, let's get into our water again, do a little bit more tweaking on the water, because we want to get some waves in there. Reflection scripts, jump in here. What options do we have? Clear blue ocean, poly, non-fade, new profile. Oh, global settings. Is it in here? Water surface, underwater settings, mesh quality, save and load. Render resolution half. Quarter refractions. Sea level is good. Reflection levels are good. You know, actually, I think we'll leave it like that. So we got that working. So let's go ahead and take a look top down on our map. All right. So how does this look from over here? Let's see what we got. Players will walk through here. They'll have to follow a trail around. They'll have the beachhead here. Up the path. Do a little clearing over here. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's get this closed down really fast. I'm going to go ahead and create an empty object. We're going to kick the transformation is going to be at all zeros. Game object, let's call this Gaia. We're going to put all of our Gaia stuff inside of there. Sorry, I'm a little OCD when it comes to maintaining stuff. Alright, so let's go ahead and create another empty, and we're going to call this one buildings. Again, back to 0. Transforms reset. First thing we're going to create is a 3D cube. Mountain Man house. Mountain Man house I want to have right here. Okay, focus in on the Mountain Man house. We're going to set this at 5, 5, 5. Excuse me. Then I'm going to create another empty. We're going to call this one markers. Doing these attraction markers. What these are going to be for is to kind of steer players in the direction we want them to go. So our house is out there. So we'll do right about here. Set this one at 262. Actually drag it right about here. This is going to just help us block out the level. Let's make another one of those. Drop that one right here. Drop another one here. The goal for these will actually be getting our players' attention to kind of steer them in the directions that we want them to go. And I'm going to create another empty under this one. And I'm going to call this one Mountain Man Island. Whoops. I'm going to drag these four. Whoops, here we go. These four markers are going to get dragged right into here. Again, this is just to keep them attracted. Kind of be different things that we can pinpoint. Make them, you know, to steer the character, the player, in our direction. Go ahead, we're going to make another one of these. We're going to kick this one up under just the regular markers. Close that down. F. Kick that 0. Now this could be something just as simple as a pathway, trees, numerous different things. But let's do this. So there's his island there. And we're going to build the village out here. All right, so we got some outcrop buildings, and we're going to build the main village. Yeah, this is actually set up in URP, actually. I did not do the HDRP, the HDRP is kind of just a little out there for me. Unfortunately, it's a lot of power housing down. The design is actually done with Gaia. I'll pop in and show you really quick. It actually generates phenomenal quality stuff. So, I mean, if you've never used Gaia, it's amazing. I'm assuming you can hear the audio from the birds and the water and all that. the tidal swing where you see the water going up and down, you know, as if the tide is going out. That's not. It's a code that I wrote a little bit earlier today. But, you know, we can take and run our character around. Gaia populated in the textures, the flowers, the grass, the trees. Populated in actually the entire terrain sculpting, the water itself. We'll go full screen with it. Let me see it a little bit better. I just made the little cube dude so he could run around and get to where I want to go. The underwater effects will be done away with, and yeah. If you've never used Gaia in Unity, it's phenomenal. It actually will come with a built-in first-person or third-person controller. If you watch the trees, you can see that the trees are moving. That's all built in. Really? Okay. Yeah, I've never given Microverse a try. I've heard of it though. But yeah, no, it's URP. A lot of the assets that I've acquired over the years will not work with URP, so I tend to stick to the. Let me do height masking and better. Really? So do you design your own height maps for that, and you know, to do the masking, or do you have to get it imported, or does it have it built in for you? Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it does a lot, but you can also go in and edit it. Nice. I might have to look into that one. Really, the only thing that I use it for, you know, I mean, I'll jump back up to the top here really quick so you can see what we've got. So I actually incorporated 2 different stamps for the generation, just so you can see where they're at. And you can customize it. You're able to, you know, go in and sculpt the lands and everything like that too. And then texturing wise, you know, you gotta jump in and put in algorithms. It doesn't have one built in by default. So if you know how to do the code and everything like that, then awesome. No kidding. Okay. Might be something I have to check into then. What I like about this is, you know, it's great for prototyping, which is kind of where I'm at right now and what I'm doing with it. Let me see. 3D object, cube. The idea behind it is just to get it kind of functional, and then once it's up and running, the goal would be to actually get it fine-tuned. Let's drop this down to a 3, jump that up to an 8, up to a 5, and 4. One thing I have to watch though is to see if my my tide will come up too high to hit the housing. Go that. I'll have to build a ground up there. Whoa. So are you in school working on stuff, or are you actively developing on your own, just out of curiosity? Sorry, no. I didn't mean like grade school, like college, going for a design degree or something like that. And yeah, definitely the guy throws a little pinch of, little sprinkle of stuff on there, makes it look pretty. Um, I believe so. It's not one that I really don't screw around with it. But I believe it does. Let me check. Manager, extensions, partner extensions. Got a bunch of different things you can hook into in there. Advanced. Let's see. Runtime. Character screen shutter. Wind zone. Adding more water. Mass edit terrains. I've actually never looked into it to see if it has that. Um, yeah, I mean it's something that I've used for a while. I never really worked on the 3D game design per se. I have always been like just that's not what I meant to do. I've been more 2D. Um, put out a couple of cell phone games and acted like I knew what I was doing. Yeah. So, like for instance, if I wanted to go in here, get this out of the way, go to the terrains. So I don't have splines enabled right now. Um, I actually use another program called River Automated Material just to expedite my processing. I also have Digger too, but I never really messed around with that one. But yeah, it can actually go through and like kind of carve out the road for you based on a spline. And, those are just with, different tools that I have. I know there's ways that you can set it up to be done manually inside of Unity if you're editing the terrain yourself or if you have other software that does it. I know that it can be done with other software as well. Um, But no, I mean, to answer your question, I don't think Gaia has that built in by default. Um, at least not the one that I'm using. Let's jump in here. That would actually be pretty awesome feature. They may have included it in like the newer versions. Um, yeah, the one that I'm using is it is an older version of the software. So I'm not 100% what the newer version brings out. Let's get enough for the moment. Okay. One more house fence post here, local. Get that over there. There. All right. Click on our player. Reset his rotation. Drop him down to the ground. All right, let's see what the tide does. The ultimate goal is to make sure that the tide does not come up to the house. All right, tide's going out. Alright, cool. The tide should not hit the villages at all. But I actually have to take a little bit of a break. I have to go get my son. So I'll be back in about 10 or 15 minutes-ish. Okay, y'all. I do apologize for being gone so long. It took a little bit longer than I expected, and I unfortunately am gonna have to call it for the night because I gotta go get dinner cooked for the wife and the kiddos. But we will be trying to get more and more streams, kind of doing a little devlog of this game. But in the interim, you folks have a great night. We'll catch you the next time we go live, and yeah, hopefully everybody enjoys the weekend that's coming up. So we'll catch you later.